And I want to start with this idea from the left that they want to, at least potentially, start conducting abortions in federal buildings in red states where if Roe v. Wade is overturned, then abortion would be illegal in red states. First of all, the very basic question here is, would that be a legal thing for them to do?
So let me say, I don't know for sure. It's not a question I've researched. So, anytime a client hired me for legal advice, I'd usually start with doing the research on it. I will say this, for it to have an even credible prayer of succeeding, it would need to be supported by legislation passed through Congress and signed into law, and that's not going to happen. So for any legislation to pass through Congress, it has to make it through the Senate, which means it needs 60 votes. They're not going to be 60 votes. They're not 10 Republicans that are going to vote for that, which means that if the Biden administration were to try to do so, they would try to do so through either a regulation or an executive order, and I don't think that would have sufficient legal force. It would be a different question if Congress asserted authority over federal buildings to try to violate state law. Sitting here thinking, I'm not thinking of an analogy where that has been applied before. Now, under the supremacy clause of the Constitution, federal law trumps state law. So if Congress passes a law, for example, if Congress passed a law codifying Roe, that law would overturn state laws. It would be deemed to, if the federal law was in conflict with state laws, under the supremacy clause, the federal law would prevail. That's not true for an executive order. That's not true for a regulation. Both a regulation and an executive order have to be pursuant to a statute. So there may be some statute, I don't know, governing post offices that gives some broad regulatory authority. I don't know about it. But I think if Biden tried to set up Joe's abortion clinic in your local post office, I am highly skeptical that would succeed.